Welcome, friends. Welcome. I am, of course, Arthur Perkins. This is APGamingREAL. Tonight, we are setting up our Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader campaign. I don't know that it has a title. If it does, James is going to have to tell me what it is. Here's the deal. I know you're used to seeing me in the driver's seat. Tonight, not so much. James is going to be the GM for, I think we can safely say, like 20 weeks or so, 20 sessions. We'll see how it really turns out. In the meantime, know the following. 1, we're going to keep introductions short tonight. 2, I'm already done my character. And 3, I'm going to do my best to not play Animal Crossing. I'll be playing an Arch-Militant who I have basically already built out, more or less, because I had the time to do that and I felt like doing it. I'm a Twitch streamer, electrical engineer, mostly always GMing. It's nice to see something a little different. Comic, who are you and who are you playing?
I am a meat popsicle.
Okay.
I will be playing an Explorator because we need a tech priest. I always need a good tech priest. And it's been a week. I'll tell you what, been playing the Doom. Been playing a lot of the Doom. It's pretty much been it. Playing the Doom and messing with models.
Pondo, some have called you Pondo the Mad. Others have just called you Pondo.
I am Pondo upon the Mad. My week has been relatively slow. It's been actually busy for a paint store, which was surprising because typically we thought we would be just dead, but no, people are coming in, getting their paints. That way they're ready to get stuck in so they can paint their house.
Oh, you know,
Which
I didn't, I wasn't following until that last bit, but now I think that's actually a pretty smart idea.
they
Fix all your
essentially
shit,
closed all the schools within like actually I think all the schools in the state. I'm not entirely certain on that, but so pretty much all the teachers are stuck there and all the kids are there. So they just thought, why not get some paint for when it's stuck inside all the time?
I got a buddy who's in the same situation. He's like, I don't know what's worse. He's like, he finally gets where he doesn't have to go to work, but he gets home and now he's got this big ass honey-do list that the wife's making him go through, fixing all the shit in the house. He's like, I don't know which one. He's like, I think I'd rather work.
Yep. But yeah, that's been my week.
Sid Alpha, I really have to resist the urge to call you Sad Alpha just because I heard your pre-week story. I'm just glad you're here, man. I'm glad you slept in the last 24.
Yeah, that's sleeping is good. I miss sleep. I never thought I would miss sleep quite this much over the past week. For those of you that didn't follow the news on Twitter and my YouTube channel, I did come into contact with someone who was confirmed to have the dreaded plague, and so I am thusly working from home exclusively for the next 2 weeks. And because of the dread plague, it's been a week from hell. So, but hopefully here soon, now that the initial burst is over with, I should be able to get back to some regular videos here soon. I am a YouTuber. You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/SidAlpha. And today, I believe, if I remember correctly, the type of character that I decided on was an Astropath Psyker, because doing things with your mind sounds like a lot of fun. And I really like that idea.
All right. Grimdark James, I mean, I feel like there's got to be some way to turn your name into a Game Master pun. Grimdark Game Master James. I'll work on it. I'll workshop it. Chad will get me on this one.
Grimdark Master.
I mean, Grimdark Master sounds like a name that I would create for myself. So maybe not that.
Grimdark Master sounds like the name of a power metal band.
It does. It really does. That's why I like it.
What do you got, James?
So I've not actually had an online name for a long time. I only sort of made up Grimdark James as a Twitter handle when I first started the Grimdark podcast. And the D20 radio network, which my podcast sits on, a lot of the other GMs there just call themselves GM first names. So there's like GM Chris and GM Dave. So I could have just been GM James, but that would have sort of limited my options as a player potentially as well. That's putting Gem in the title. But yeah, so I just use Grimdark James now for the purpose of this show. But everyone just calls me James. Since I'll pick up what AP put down and assume that there might be some people finding us through this show for the first time. I'm Grimdark James, the host of the Grimdark podcast, which is a now 7-year-old 40K role-playing podcast. It's been on hiatus since late October 2019, but we'll be returning to it when there's some updates to the Wrath and Glory rule system. I'm also a former GW employee and contributor to some topics there, and a freelance game developer. So my website is grimdarkpodcast.com, and I'm also on YouTube with some old Dark Heresy campaign sessions that are still up there. I overall had a good week this week. My whole company switched to work from home, which has been pretty convenient. Also because, like Sid, unlike Sid, I've had confirmed contact with a person who's had confirmed contact with a virus sufferer, given that my wife is an ER nurse. They've had a couple of confirmed cases through their hospital now, so obviously she's doing full PPE and pretty much the next best thing to a hazmat suit. But yeah, for us, we're really sort of keeping the family home for the time being. But overall, it's been a pretty good week. I've got a lot of hobby done while also working from home. I normally have a 1 to 2 hour commute each way to the office. So I've sort of got myself 2 to 4 hours extra a day of time to spend around the house with the family, making models, painting models, writing this game, making my notes. So yeah, looking forward to kicking this off, in fact.
Quick comment, if Arthur's going to post this video on YouTube, don't say the name of the virus, otherwise YouTube will demonetize.
You will only be able to refer to it as the incident. In fact, mentioning the V word also upsets them. Just if we need to do it, guys, it's just the incident. For those of you in the future who don't know what we're talking about, you're at least 20 years old now, so it's time to pick up a history book. It's gonna be hard to forget this one.
It was so hard Wednesday. That was like every time just stopping yourself saying the incident.
Look,
are they just worried about people trying to get clickbait by talking about it, or what? Is that? I wonder why they do that.
Advertiser unfriendly, I think. They don't want people to talk about it because people that talk about it make them unhappy.
Okay, yeah.
Talking about history is bad.
I've certainly had a lot of my vendors at work say, hey, let's make this sort of campaign around this. I'm like, how do we do a campaign that's not around this, or at least not directly around this? So rather than saying, because all you guys had to work from home, say, hey, work from home is becoming a new great thing in the business marketplace. Why don't you support this with this technology?
Look, I love the idea that because of the incident, people are going to be like, yeah, I work from home this whole time and our effectiveness is still up. And business owners are gonna be like, "Why don't you come back into the office? We just like having you here, where we could keep an eye on you like this."
I think some companies might look at now divesting from property if they think that this is successful. They might.
It would be incredible to allow people to work in comfort.
When you're at home, it's a lot easier to get distracted and a lot easier.
I don't disagree with that.
There.
I don't disagree with that.
In cases like me, you have to stay focused because there's a giant mountain put on your plate that you have to get done because it's urgent, and it does save me 2 hours a day worth of driving. So,
well, Sid, how do I put this? You have a unusual capacity for scheduling and willpower, and might I even say a slight stubbornness to you.
I was going to say bullshit, but that works.
No, I don't think there's any bullshit in it. I mean, sometimes I feel like you might occasionally exaggerate a story, but this is coming from me. I lie to Pondo all the time. I don't do it as much anymore. In fact, I feel like it's been a while. But there was a whole year there where I would just tell Pondo complete and utter lies.
Well, the thing is, though, is you can play a game with Pondo is you can talk to him and say something and see if he actually notices. Because half the time, Pondo's staring into space. So it seems it's like that 1,000-yard stare. So
he's seen some shit.
He's seen some
when it comes
shit,
to role-playing games,
Bringing us back around, I feel, Sid Alpha, as if you have a capacity for career work that few mortals can match.
Exceptional focus.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, it's. I'm not going to deny that. That is a very accurate assessment, and it's something that baffles the minds of even most of my coworkers. It's like, I don't understand how you can get so much done in one day. It's like, that's why I have 3 monitors at my desk at work and at home, because I need them. If I had 4 monitors, it would be better.
James, does this campaign have a name?
It nominally is being called the Last Scion.
Oh, I like that. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'll make sure to add that. I need to get a header. Insert header.
You're gonna have to come up with a cool graphic for Twitter posts.
I'm in a race with Sunspirit to see who can develop an overlay first.
Look, I mean, it's not about who gets it done first, right? It's about who I choose to take. Now that I think about it, that's not so good. Sounds bad for me. I'll probably just field it out there for the audience and see which one they like more. That way, I can shift all the blame to the public.
I can honestly say this will be my first overlay, so I'd be surprised if I can do anything like what Sunspirit can do.
I mean, Sunspirit knocks it out the park constantly.
Yep.
For the low price of $1, you too can vote on which overlay I like better.
No, come on. I'm not that bad of a Patreon shilla. I'll tell you this, though. If you're watching this, all of us last week got together and played Rogue Trader for just $1 one time on Patreon. You can get access to all of my old Patreon content, including that. If you want to see us play, I'm going to say I played poorly. I feel like everyone else played pretty good. I spent most of the time trying to bother Pondo.
Mr. President,
Mr. President!
To an extreme.
Make sure you put your boots on, Mr. President. Mr. President, are you cold?
I think the only YouTube comment was commenting on your play style.
Twice. Actually, I didn't get hit once. I almost got hit a second time.
I thought it was hilarious.
I got to tell you, based on that game and how often people got shot, I made absolutely sure that I had dodge as a skill. I do not want to get shot.
No, dodge is super important.
Yeah.
I got into like 2 knife fights and was fine. It's like, pretty good.
Yeah,
usually no one wins a knife fight.
Bad. Yeah, it could have been real bad.
No one wins a knife fight, but apparently that time I did.
I think I'm not going to invest in melee weapon. I think I'm just going to invest in ballistic and dodge.
Well, James, I'm going to let you take it away in just a second, but I'm going to tell you that I already broke your character generator. I have all my options here if you'd like me to send it to you. I just don't know where to put my final work. And of course I can walk through it piece by piece. What do you want us to do? You're in charge now, GM.
Okay. All right. So first off, I'm assuming that we're not showing the Roll20 overlay on this on this game. Is that right?
We are not currently. If you need it.
Okay. So what I'll do. No. I'll just, while we're going through the paths, I might put the path sheet onto Discord so that anybody that's following along at home
assuredly
can sort of see what we're doing at least.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's really 4 parts that I want to go through today. The first part is going to be creating the warrant itself, the dynasty that you guys are all a part of. Then we'll do the individual character life paths. Then we'll do the characters themselves. And then finally, hopefully we've still got time to finish off and do the ship as well. So I'm just going to start. I'm going to put the dynasty image into Discord now. It's up there now. So basically, with the dynasty, there's a life path system similar to what characters have. The difference with the dynasty path is that you cannot have a free row where you can move to anywhere on the path. You basically got to, anytime you move down the row, you basically got to go to the one directly below or one to either side as you work through that path. It starts off with how old the warrant is, goes on to how the warrant was first acquired, what great things the dynasty has done, who they have contacts with, and where they sit now in terms of notoriety. With any of these life paths, it's okay to work top down or bottom up. It doesn't matter. Normally with the dynasty path, the way you're supposed to do it is that the person playing the rogue trader makes the first choice, then you take it in turns going around the table making the next choice. But you might find you guys enjoy it more if you sort of workshop the individual decisions, but it's up to you. I don't mind running it either way.
I want to absolutely give Pondo the first choice, no matter what happens. Do it. Do it. Do it.
I mean, I can make choices.
That's good. For those that aren't watching us live, Pondo in chat has become very bleak. He's prepared to step into the Warhammer 40K universe for sure.
Maybe you should invest in melee. You do well with that edge.
Wow, I gotta remember that one.
I already invested in melee though.
People are asking in chat which channel to look into. The answer is hashtag Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader, which I will now rename to hashtag Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader The Last Scion.
Bit of a mouthful.
Fun.
Listen, you motherfucker, let me tell you about Warhammer 40K Wrath and Glory Dark Inquisition. Having to say that at the beginning of every episode.
With the fabled, fucking Lycus and Toro, hero of the Imperium, member of the Inquisition. It's not going to fit in that little box.
Just have it scrolling.
Like a marquee just the whole time under your...
Do it all the time in news.
Okay, so let's start off with the first, probably most important decision overall. So with this chart, don't focus on the numbers at the bottom, the SP and PF. Just so you know what they refer to. SP is ship points, PF is profit factor. So generally speaking, the wealthier you are, the less exciting a ship you have, or vice versa. So it starts off with how old the warrant is. And if you assume that those 5 boxes across the top are pretty much 2,000 years apiece. So it starts off with the Age of Rebirth, which is immediately after the Horus Heresy, where rogue trade alliances were started pretty much by Reboot Guilliman in order to rebuild the damage that was done after the Horus Heresy. It then moves on to the Forging. So the Forging was the next sort of 2,000 years after that, where life has sort of returned to normal in the Imperium, and it's now once again starting that process of trying to expand its borders, trying to re-engage in the Crusade and bring Lost Worlds back into its path. The Age of Apostasy is the time where, due to some machinations, the single individual named Yog Van Dyer became the head of both the Ecclesiarchy and the Administratum, and that led to a civil war within the Imperium. That also led to things like the creation of the Sisters of Battle during that time. So obviously a lot of rogue traders created during this time were either pressed into military service during the Age of Apostasy, or immediately afterwards they were commissioned by Van Dyer's successor, Sebastian Thor, in order to once again start to rebuild. The Age of Redemption is sort of in the last 4,000 years of the Imperium, which pretty much involves, once again, a return to form for the Imperium. The Ecclesiarchy is now much stronger than it was following the Horus Heresy, so there's more of an influence on the religion of the Imperium, the cult of the Emperor, once again restoring humanity's light and exploring the Halo stars. And then the waning is sort of the last 2,000 years, where the Imperium has started to meet with lots and lots of other Xeno races. Conflict is increasing. The Imperium's growth has been stymied somewhat by its own immense size. It simply is too big to really move forward, and so it started to wane in its ability to respond to mankind's needs.
I mean, I've heard the Imperium is so large,
5,
it's too big to fail.
The parts of the Imperium are failing all the time. It's
not near us though. We're in the good place, right?
Oh, you're at where this will be set, which is called the Koronus Expanse, which, if you're not familiar with Rogue Trader, is the default setting for Rogue Trader. It's an area of new exploration. It's an area that has not even been touched since before the Emperor's Crusade. So any sort of remnants of mankind in the Koronus Expanse are largely pre-imperial citizens, people from before the Dark Age of technology that explored and have been trapped on worlds and have regressed back to primitive states. Hokey religions. So in terms of age, since you were asking Pondo first, did you want to pick one or run it by the rest of the group?
So essentially, the older ship we have, the more fun stuff that happens. Is that what I heard correctly?
I mean, the more history you've got, the more stuff can come back from the past to bite you, I suppose.
Okay. I'll ask, even though you said to ignore it. What does the SP and PF typically mean?
Ship points and profit
So
factors.
SP is ship points profit factor. That's right.
Okay.
More ship points means better ship. More profit factors means it's easier for us to buy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, pretty much the next row down is pretty much the inverse of the top row, so you can't game the system to get the maximum number of points in both. You'll have either high in one and low in the other, or average across the board.
So I guess maybe we want to have a discussion across the whole group, Captain. Not that I want to pre-decide what your first choice is, but as a group, we should decide whether we want to have a bitchin' ship or just be really rich. Or where do we lie in that spectrum? And we can curve our choices towards that, no matter what first choice Pondo makes.
I think I'd like to keep it around that middle ground. But
Yep, that's the most Pondo answer possible. That's, yeah. The ship will be called the Vanilla.
I will point out that unless you take a particular option during character creation, any unspent ship points turn into profit factor anyway.
Okay. Then let's just go all out then, if that's the case.
Fuck yeah.
Well,
let's do it.
I said that option though is quite a good option. So what that option is basically, there's an option for the rogue trader which allows you to add additional ship points beyond the warrant. But the effect of that is that you can no longer convert unused ship points. I will point out, by the way, that any warrant that starts in the Age of Rebirth, so the oldest one, you can take one archaeotech component on your ship. If you start in the most recent one, the Wainer, you can take one xenotech component on your ship.
Xenotech is bad.
Yes, but it's also nice.
You can always get
Archeo. What was it?
other
Archeotype?
Archaeotech.
Archeotech.
Archaeotech is like ancient technology that's no longer able to be produced.
Right.
That
more intrigued
already
by
has a dream for us to one day steal a hive ship. By hive ship, do you mean Tyranid hive ship? Because I don't think you can steal a living thing. Well, I guess you can steal a living thing. I don't think we can pilot it, though.
I think I'm more interested in getting the
Life finds a way.
ancient tech.
Oh, okay. Sid Chaos Alpha.
My vote, for what it's worth, is let's go Age of Rebirth. It's just fucking go balls to the wall.
Sure.
We can find Xenotech later and slap it on there. Probably not.
Take it.
No, we're definitely gonna take it. That's my whole job.
We can find it later. I didn't say how we're going to find it.
What do you think an Explorator is for? I keep your ship working just long enough so I can steal this shit and give it to the Adeptus Mechanicus.
It's 40K. It's pretty much the premise of your shit is mine now. Give it here.
This is mine.
All right, we happy with Age of Rebirth then? Let's lock it in, Eddie. Sorry, that's an Australian reference. Should try and avoid that.
I believe Age of Rebirth is the consensus, yes.
Okay then. All right. So that then leads us to the next decision, which I'm going to use the order of cameras on my screen to say that the Atomic is next in my line. So Fortune and Fate simply refers to where the line stands now. And as you can see, if you are old, then it's assumed that to balance it, that your line is in decline for whatever reason. So your options here are going to be Fallen from Grace, which pretty much means that the line is almost non-existent. or at least no longer really supported by the Imperium, or struggling insofar that it's in decline but is still able to ply its trade regularly at the moment.
So we're going from those two.
Yep.
I mean, struggling sense, like if we have a you know, it gives us something to prove. Like, you know, it's like, all right, we got to turn this ship around, literally, I guess, and you know, let's get back in the game.
Indeed.
Yeah. So you're liking struggling?
Yeah, I vote for struggling.
Okay. Okay. So now I'll go to Arthur for the acquisition. So this is what the family did in order to obtain a warrant in the first place. So you've either got ecclesiastical bequest, which means that basically the church, for some reason,
It's administratum trade. That's what I'm.
Yep. Are you going for that one?
Yeah.
Trade mandate?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't need the church involved.
Okay. No worries.
Good man. Good man.
All right then, Sid. That means that sanction. So this is what key event in the past was the strongest point for the family. So your choices here are the Meritech Wars. So the Meritech Wars was a period where a section of the Imperium decided to secede, declare themselves independent. The Meritech Concordance, I think, or Hegemony. And effectively, the military pushed some rogue traders into service in order to help transport troops, in order to engage in planetary bombardments. And so this would mean then that, yeah, there was a history where this line became involved in this war in order to force the Meritech group back into the Imperium or wipe them out. The Angermann Crusade. So generally speaking, a crusade is any time that the Imperial War Machine reclaims a lost segment of the galaxy. So if you're familiar with Dark Heresy, the Calixis sector is the location for Dark Heresy, which is actually just to the east of the Koronus Expanse in Rogue Trader. The Angermann Crusade was the military campaign that settled the Calixis sector, basically named after Lord Solar Angermann, who was the military commander that ran it. So in this case, you would have been talking about finding lost Imperial worlds, returning them to the fold, waging war on them if they didn't comply. That would be what a crusade would normally involve for a rogue trader. And then finally, the Age of Plunder is pretty much where rogue traders were given warrant to pretty much explore and claim whatever they could, and they just amassed large amounts of wealth, often to the betterment of the Imperium, but sometimes particularly to the betterment of themselves. So, you know, effectively piracy among rogue traders became quite common during the Age of Plunder. So this means that the family line probably had some questionable past where it engaged in some questionable habits to increase its own wealth.
I'm going to vote for the Angermann Crusade.
Everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings us then back to Pondo for contacts. So this is the part of the Imperium that the family has the strongest connection to. So your options here are the Mission Area Galaxia, which is pretty much about exploration, about expanding the maps, about going to the edge and finding what lies beyond. And so therefore, a lot of your contacts there would be towards providing you with stable warp routes or working with the navigators to find what lays beyond the Halo stars. Adeptus Mechanicus is pretty straightforward, that you're closely aligned with Mars and the Mechanicus in general. And then finally, Battlefleet means that your strongest connections are to the military, to the Imperial Navy. Maybe your family serves, has a time of service in the Imperial Navy or the like.
I think I'd like to go with the Missionaria Galaxia.
Okay. So that just leaves back to Atomic again for the current notoriety of the line. You know, is it infamous? Do people question, how loyal they are? Is it famous, or is it more of an unknown line where people the name is not known in the halls of Imperial society very well?
Thinks back to practice game last Saturday and what happened. I'm honestly leaning toward infamous because your parents, Pondo, or your family are kind of shitbags, if I'm honest.
So if you missed that, the trial game we played last week does have a plot tie-in to the actual campaign. So infamous.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with infamous. It sounds like a great idea. Could possibly go wrong. So
that looks like 12, 18, 28, 38, 46, 52 ship points. And 10, 14, 18, 22, 28, 40 profit factor. So to give you an idea of what that actually means in real world terms, 40 profit factor means that when you're trying to acquire an item or items, if the base ability is +0, then you've got a 40% chance of acquiring it. And then it gets easier or harder depending upon the rarity, the quantity, the quality of the goods, basically. For 52 ship points, give you an idea of what that translates to. 50s would usually be a strongly built frigate or a relatively weak light cruiser. All right. So much bigger than the ship, the raider you used in the last game. All right, that's the end of the warrant. Any questions on that side before I move on to the character path?
No for me.
No. Okay, I'm gonna move the Roll20 screen. I'll just change this background for you too, Atomic, because I know you need a darker background.
It burns our eyes. It burns us.
Yep. All right. So I'm just going to also post the life path into chat as well. I don't chat into the Discord. So you've already done yours, Arthur. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just I'm going to put into our private channel the current working path. This shows what Arthur's taken so far and compares to the others. So I'm not sure how much you guys followed the discussion this week on our channel about how this path works, but effectively, likewise, you either start at the bottom or start at the top. Ignore lineage just for the moment. Just focus on the career you're doing, and you're moving through this, moving only down or to either side, one side or the other as you move through. But once you have got a cohesive path, you can then choose a single row to move to a different item on that row that is not in your direct path. You'll see with this, there are two options for pretty much all of them except for career and lineage. The top option comes from the core book, from the Rogue Trader core book. The bottom option comes from the Into the Storm expansion. With the exception of Homeworlds, all the bottom options from the others, so Birthright, Lure of the Void, Trials and Travails, and Motivation, all have an XP cost. So at the start of the game, you do start with 500 XP, which you normally use to buy things from the progression chart, but you can also use them to buy the bottom options if you prefer. Keep in mind that, so like Atomic looked at the path he was looking at doing this week, and I think he had 4 of them were picked from the bottom option. You would not be able to afford that. Yeah. Most of them cost 200 or 300 points, so I'd be looking at a maximum of 2 from the bottom option. The preference is to have some of the characters cross over at the same point in their path here and there, and that would indicate where these characters might have had previous interactions in the past and established relationships. I guess similar to how the fate system works, but that is an option as well. So has anybody else had a chance to have a look at the path yet to think about where they might want to map out their character? And I did also send a Word document to our private group about a week or so back, which does detail from a mechanical point of view what a lot of those options mean. I'd be more focusing on the mechanics and hung up on the fluff, So for example, Child of the Creed implies that it is for the ecclesiarchy, but in Atomic's case, I said it could just as easily work for the Adeptus Mechanicus because it gives you unshakable faith, which works no matter what your religion is, basically. So, I guess just to run through, Arthur, do you want to run through what you chose for the audience, just so they get an idea of where we started off?
Absolutely. Let's see here. My home world is a fortress world. My birthright, and this is in chat right now. It's also in the description of the YouTube video, so you can follow along. Fortress World hopped over to Birthright Born to Lead, which is one of the sub options that costs money, XP, I should say.
From in service to the throne.
Yes. Lure the Void, Call to War, which was also an XP cost. Trials and Travails is the Hand of War. Previously it was Calamity. That was so that I could make the life path work. You'll notice Calamity is nowhere near where I actually ended up. I swapped it over to Hand of War after I finished making it because Hand of War is much cooler. Motivation, Fortune, and Career Arch-Militant. I'd say that there's a pretty good chance that Sid Alpha is going to sync with me at least once.
Because he's over that left-hand side.
Yeah. Missing Endurance / Devotion means that there's not 100% chance that we'll sync up. I mean, it's possible he could somehow zigzag me the whole time. It is possible. I ended up at Arch-Militant. So, you know, I got a pretty good idea how my character works, and they've killed a lot of people. Their whole path is literally just murder, 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 murder. Except Fortune. That's different.
So I'll just let you know as well, at the very top of that chart, Child of Dynasty, which is the bottom option for the most right-hand one, that's the one that gives you extra ship points, but it does mean you can no longer trade extra ship points for Profit Factor. I think it gives you 2 from memory.
What was that again?
So I guess
Child of Dynasty.
Child of Dynasty at the very top right. Yeah, gives you extra ship points, but you can no longer cash in.
Like that top pop band, Dynasty's Child, from about 20 years ago. Man, I almost got Sid with that. I was so close. If only I'd been a half second slower, I would have got him. Okay, sorry, James. My shenanigans are boundless tonight.
So I guess this is where, I need to sort of hear what you guys are thinking. Discuss it with yourselves as well. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of us staring at a screen while making notes on the page.
Yeah.
So I did not get a chance to read that Word document because everybody knows my past week has been beyond crazy.
Yep, definitely.
So I just ran through stuff that sounded good. So yay, nay for, say, an Astropath. I took Nobleborn for Homeworld with pure Astropaths.
I got to cross the board. Nicely done.
Birthright is Vaunted with +3 Fellowship.
Oh, yes.
Lure the Void, New Horizons.
Okay.
Trials and Travails, we have a Product of Upbringing. Which I don't know what any of this stuff does. So.
Yeah, so the problem is that you're not getting across the board fast enough to get down to Astropath Transcendent. Although I suppose you could make that. I suppose you can make that your shift, the career path to do a shift.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Motivation, knowledge.
Okay. Let's have a quick look at those and see how they fit in with what you're looking at doing. Let me bring up my notes. So, Nobleborn definitely, I think, is a good fit for an Astropath. So if you're not familiar with the 40K universe, Astropaths are psychic people. So what happens is, from whatever background they come from, once they're identified as psychers, they're pulled out of that background, put on a ship straight to Earth, where they're assessed to make sure they are strong enough to control their psychic powers. If they're not which is the majority, then they are psychically fed to the Emperor in order to keep his dead body functioning and the Astropath, so the Astronomicon burning. If they are able to call their powers, they usually get sent to the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, which trains astropaths, which are used for psychic communication. It's the only form of faster than light communication within the Imperium. Some astropaths end up, or some psychers end up going to the Imperial Guard as Primaris psychers. Some join Space Marine chapters, but the vast majority that are not consumed by the Emperor in the Hollow Mountain become astropath transcendents. So that will mean that Sid's character, for example, has actually seen the Emperor. It was actually the last thing he saw before his eyes were burned out. Astropaths are functionally all blind, although they do have a psychic power, which means that they're treated from the rules point of view as being sighted the whole time. So they can still read, they can still identify color, unless there is something suppressing psychic powers, in which case they count as functionally blind. So certainly Nobleborn, it's only detriment to you as the thing is it's got a -2 willpower, but it's only -5, which is easily overcome by other things. It will give you the ability to deal with nobles very well. Does give you an enemy from the past too, though. Vaunted gives you decadence, which means that you can drink and take drugs as much as you want without it having a major effect on you.
Nice.
You said increase your fellowship. New Horizons, I think, is one that breaks down into 3 different options. Let's see. New Horizons. So either gives you Seeker of Truth for 100 XP, which makes you more intelligent and gives you extra law skills. Xeno Arcanist, which gives you either a bonus to intelligence or willpower, which lets you have either be... so Xeno Arcanist means that you've studied other alien civilizations or alien artifacts. So therefore you get either academic abilities or knowledge that you shouldn't have. Or Archaeotechnologist, bonus to either intelligence or perception, means that you understand about archaeotech, and you also have an archaeotech heirloom particular to your character.
Okay, I'd probably go with Xeno Arcanist.
Yep. Which is XP-wise 200. Product of upbringing, choice there is either new blood, which means that you gain a rival to nobility, which probably, because that's where nobles are sort of saying, oh, your new wealth, probably wouldn't apply so well with your background. Rivals gives you +3 fellowship and also a peer with one organization, but a rival with another organization. You get to choose which of those organizations are. Or Decadent gives you bonus willpower. The Decadence trait again, which would, if you had it twice in one character option, you get to pick something else. Bonus on charm tests. That's 150 XP.
Oh, I'm gonna choose Decadent, definitely.
Okay. Let me just quickly check. No, I think knowledge is also a split one. Yeah,
knowledge is life. Know thy foe, or knowledge is power.
Here's the issue. You don't have enough XP for any of those because the minimum is 200 XP and you've already spent 350 out of your 500.
Okay.
So if you like that, you probably have to drop back to rivals and then take know thy foe. Would be a valid option.
Well, what does knowledge give me, anyways, for motivation?
Okay, so so know thy foe would give you a any forbidden law of your choice. So most motivations only give you one particular thing. Alternatively, was duty within reach of your path there? No, duty is...
No.
Just hold on a second. I'm looking at the wrong thing here, am I? I don't see duty list at all. Devotion. Sorry, devotion. So... If you went to devotion, there's a 100 XP option in devotion, which is duty, which gives you +3 willpower and your choice of either armor of contempt or unshakable faith.
Is that our motivation?
That is, yeah. So devotion is the motivation. Duty is the sum.
Oh, it's not scrolling here. Devotion, that works, and yeah, duty, that works.
Yep.
Oh, what's the drop down here? Armor of Contempt or Unshakable Faith. Kind of like, the sound of Armor of Contempt.
All right. So you happy with that as a line?
Let's see.
Yep.
Well, I'm down to 50 XP and I still have the lineage to go. But I'm happy so far.
So lineages are optional. So lineages, you don't have to take. It's pretty much if you've got XP left over, you can take a lineage, which means that you're particularly well known for something. So, for example, Arthur hasn't taken a lineage.
I spent my remaining XP on getting better at shooting.
Lineage. Gotcha. Yeah, I only have 50 XP left, so I guess I will leave lineage at none.
Yep. All right. Atomic, I know you've been looking at this. Did you get any further along with what you were considering?
I'm thinking I'm going to do Forge World naturally, into Child of the Creed, into Duty Bound, and then I don't know if I want to go with Calamity or Hand of War, like do the free shift and go Hand of War. I'm thinking I'm going to do Calamity. I'd have to come up with what that is. But I like the idea of having something gone horribly, horribly wrong at some point. And then...
I mean, some people view war as something having gone horribly wrong at some point.
Well, yeah.
No, this is the Imperium of Man. Not war is considered a real bad thing.
Let's see.
People get confused and start attacking each other.
I think my motivation is the one I'm kind of stuck on what I want to do. So give me a minute and I'll think about that if you want to see what Pondo's doing.
All right, well, Pondo, how are we feeling?
Yes, I am pretty sure I'm starting with Nobleborn.
Shocking.
Good choice. Good choice for a rogue trader.
It just makes sense.
Yep.
And then I think I'm going to drop down to Savant.
All right, guys, we got that real sick Sid Alpha as a Psyker cosplay right there.
Oh, God.
Chat Photoshop that together for you, Sid.
Well, he's an astropath, not a navigator.
I don't control what chat does.
Yeah, this is true. Chat does as chat does.
Shit.
I bet I could play.
It's canon for me now that his character looks exactly like Sid, though. I don't know anything about his character, but
it's crazy how that works.
It reminds me of in Starship Troopers, the ad where they say, if you think you're psychic,
maybe you are. Yeah, that's Timothy Omenson.
You know, I was thinking about wearing my Starship Trooper shirt earlier, and I didn't do it. That would have been great.
Sorry to interrupt. James, can you throw me a character sheet so I can start building my character out in game?
Do you want just the so for the
Because there's a bunch of rules that I have to do for stuff, but I wanted to get like as much down on paper as I can.
Yeah.
So apparently I'm going to go insane.
You mean in Roll 20? Yeah, okay, no worries.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice little character sheet.
Right. So sorry, I interrupted you, Pondo. You were up to Savant.
Savant, then I think I'm just going to do New Horizons.
Okay.
I don't remember what exactly that does.
So New Horizons, this is the same one that Sid took, which is there were 3 different options there. Let's go back to it. That was Seeker of Truth, Xeno Arcanist, or Archaeotechnologist.
I think I'm going to do Archaeotechnologist.
Okay. for 250 XP.
Ooh. So that costs
Alright.
XP not to take the. Okay.
Sorry?
I guess next will be High Vendetta.
Oh, okay. They have some enemies. Nice. And motivation.
I think it's going to have to be Prestige.
Prestige? Okay. All right. So that would leave you enough XP to consider any of the lineages if you want to. Some of them, I think, 250 XP is within realistic spending. So maybe have a look at those. They're on page 13 of my little booklet, and see if any of those are of interest to you. So Atomic, we're up to Duty Bound with you.
Yeah, so
We're discussing Calamity or the Hand of War.
I think I'm going to do Calamity.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go down into Vengeance. And then into Explorator.
Explorator. Okay. So that means that connections right now are Sid and Plunder were both noble-born. So it will probably be easy to say that they came from the same community of nobles. May have been familiar with each other before Sid's character was ported off to Earth to be psychically tested.
I'd really considered between doing Child of the Creed or doing Unnatural Origin.
Maybe a false man.
Yeah, you know what I'm on about.
Yeah.
I thought about it because it's fairly common. It's not really among the Adeptus Mechanicus. It's fairly common actually.
Yeah. Are you happy, or you want to change?
I think I'm going to keep what I got at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. So has everybody got some scratch paper for their notes or notepad?
Yeah, let me open up notepad.
All right.
I do. Actually.
So let's start off with. So you do
if
have?
you're serious about that.
Okay. All right.
I have paper and I have a
beside my
computer,
desk.
so either way.
It's James. Of course, he was serious about that.
I'm often not serious. What are you talking about?
I take a lot of notes by hand when I'm playing because it's less clacky on the keyboard.
Yeah, you got one of those gaming keyboards with that high tensile click.
Model M shotgun. It's like racking a shotgun sled every time you press a button.
All right, so we'll start with your characteristics. So the characteristics are weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, toughness, agility, intelligence, perception, willpower, fellowship. Everyone got those noted?
Yes.
Okay, so they all start at a base of 25. And then I will tell you what your modifiers are going to be based upon your background path. So you're good with this, Arthur. You don't need me to go through this for your stuff, do you?
Correct.
No. Okay, so for those of you that are noble-born, -5 willpower, +5 fellowship. For you Forge World person, -5 weapon skill, +5 intelligence, +3 to any one characteristic of your choice.
It's 5 intelligence, you said?
Yep. Okay. Vaunted. +3 to either agility or fellowship, Sid.
I chose
And
fellowship.
-3 perception. Child of the Creed adds +3 to either willpower or fellowship, but -3 weapon skill. And Savant is +3 to either intelligence or fellowship, but -3 toughness. Everyone got that on there? Okay, so onto Lures of the Void. So we had New Horizons. Xeno Arcanist is +3 to either intelligence or willpower for you, Sid. Archaeotechnologist Pondo is +3 to either intelligence or perception. Duty Bound. Okay, are you duty to the throne, duty to humanity, or duty to your dynasty?
I'm gonna do duty to the throne.
Okay, so that's +3 willpower. Okay.
Duty to the throne as the Omnisci, obviously, because I'm doing the Shadow of the Creed thing. But yeah.
Okay, product of upbringing decadence for you, Sid, is. Let's find it.
Decadence.
Fancy bastard.
Oh, I lost it. Okay, is +3 willpower. Okay, Calamity is there's no stat modifier. Yep, and High Vendetta, no stat modifier. Then Devotion is +3 willpower for the devotion to the duty. Vengeance is no modifier, and Prestige is no modifier. So that should now give you your base starting stats. So sorry, Arthur, when you did your stats, were you doing point buy?
Yes, I thought that's what we agreed to do.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to make sure that's what we agreed to do before I move on. So you've now got 8 amount of points, which I'm going to remind myself of to spend on those. Where was it again? It's been so long. So it's funny because this is actually my 3rd of 4 days of straight role playing. And yesterday we were rebuilding Wrath and Glory characters in my other campaign into Dark Heresy characters. So it's 100 additional points to spend across characteristics. You cannot add more than 40 to any characteristic. So keep in mind that the starting point is what you're at right now with those modifiers already applied. So if something has been dropped down, for example, to 20, then its maximum is going to be, sorry, you can add a maximum of 20 points to anything. So if something's 20 right now, it's going to be a maximum of 40 with the extra points you spend. If you've already gone up to say 35 from bonuses, then you can get to 55 with these points.
Okay.
I have an advanced level question, James.
Yes.
If during my path I get the same skill twice, does that mean I get a +10 checkbox, or does that just mean it's...
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, all right.
No, it goes to a +10 checkbox.
And I'm really good at knowing things about the Tactica.
Okay, so we have 100 points to spend on stats. Does this include the 50x, the remainder XP we still have, or is that for other stuff?
No. So this is just this is just 100 characteristic points. So this is not involving XP.
Okay. And for Astropath, I'm guessing willpower is going to be the highest.
Willpower and intelligence perception, probably the key ones.
And what's the highest we can go up to?
So whatever point they start at, +20.
45 naturally, but if you have stuff that goes over it from your background stuff, that doesn't count against you.
Yeah, background stuff happens first. I'm just going to step away for 1 second to wake my wife. We'll be right back while you guys work on that. Keep the audience entertained, though.
The audience can listen to me yell at my cat.
Chillingly familiar. Well, at least I know Low Gothic.
Cat's just losing his goddamn mind.
My weapon train.
I've got 100.
I take a penalty anytime I talk to somebody about anything other than killing people. And I take a penalty anytime I talk to an orc.
Interesting.
So if I talk to an orc about anything other than killing people, my score reaches very close to 0.
You're gonna have to make your best friend an orc then.
Nope. No, I don't have friends.
How dare you? How dare you think he has friends, Sid?
Hard and bitter man. Also, my character doesn't have friends either. I have hatred pirates, hatred chaos, and hatred orcs sworn enemy. I'm a raging ball of hatred who's been in 3 different wars.
Wow.
Yeah. His best friend is a commando orc in disguise. I was wondering why he always wears purple. Do I melee? I have a 30 melee skill,
melee,
so
bro?
not really. I think melee for me is mostly going to be about parrying until I can get my gun back in line. I mean, I have a starting ballistic skill of 60, so...
Jesus.
Pew.
With that full auto, gonna be looking at an 80. Yeah, I agree. Taka is best.
All right, everyone's characters made now.
Almost, but in the last couple.
I've got the
That's a
points
funny
assigned.
joke. That's
Yeah.
a good one, James. I've been fumbling around with like the Excel sheet for like past 20 minutes.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I don't know that the Excel sheet's the best option. I really feel like just getting in there
Seems
and
to
handwriting.
be working well so far.
You think so? All right. Well,
It just took me a while to actually get it going.
I immediately broke it.
Yeah, mine is a little weird too.
I figured out you have to save it after you load it up, and it actually starts working.
Hmm.
Been working fine for me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so 125.
What did I do with my perception?
So while you guys are working, just for the audience's benefit, to give you guys an idea of the setup here. So, or if you're not familiar with the background of why we're doing this, so Arthur's been running a Wrath and Glory campaign now for 6 months, AP, thereabouts?
I'd say it's been almost a year.
Almost a year, yeah, okay. And we finished the first season of that going back now a couple of weeks. Nice, successful finale. And we also had a chat about the system of Wrath and Glory, and it has some shortcomings, some large ones, some small ones. It's already known that Cubicle 7 picked up the license from Ulysses Spieler and doing an updated version of the game, which there's a lot of speculation it will be available either at Origins or Gen Con, because they have asked for players to volunteer to run at those 2 cons, assuming those cons go ahead in light of the incident. So we had a chat and we agreed we'd hold back on Wrath and Glory and see whether we were happy with what they did from a point of view of changing the system, updating the system, before we committed to doing an additional season of Dark Inquisition. So the other option was to do something in the interim, which was either going to be Rogue Trader or Dark Heresy using the old FFG systems, of which I think most of us are pretty familiar with this system. And so that's why we're doing Rogue Trader. Luckily, I've run a lot of Rogue Trader in the past, including having done a 60-player Rogue Trader LARP for a few years. Yeah, yeah, I told you before, Arthur.
That's just a
Did
lot
you see
of
the
people,
pictures I was posting,
especially for a LARP.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, not a buffer LARP, like a social LARP. So
I don't know.
a lot of people that were ex vampire players. Okay, well, as in not people running around with stone swords hitting each other.
Yeah. Ex-vampire players. I have a question for you, James.
Yep.
I have a good quality mono sword. Now, I think that loses the primitive trait because it's mono, and it has balance. Does it gain anything else for being good?
Yeah, so good melee weapons gain +5 to hit.
Okay. How do I input that into this character sheet?
That is a good quality question. I'll have to... You might have to remember the +5 when you're making the attack roll with it.
Well, let's try this. You know what? I inputted +5, and I bet you it subtracted 5. Yes, it did. I think.
Did you use the plus symbol?
I did.
Don't use the plus symbol in roll 20.
I know, and it would have hit. It hits actually, and I got the Emperor die, a 10, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Emperor's
Do I roll an extra D10 now for hitting that or something?
So it apparently, I in this other Rogue Trader show I was watching on YouTube this week, apparently it does it already. So I look at the data that pops up when you mouse over the damage, and I can't read what they've worked out there, but it does apparently roll. So what it does first off is it attempts to make another attack roll, and if the other attack roll succeeds, then it rolls an extra D10 damage. That's the way you do Emperor's Wrath. So if you roll a natural 10 on the damage, you then make a second attack roll. If that second attack roll hits as well, it's an extra D10 damage.
Yeah, I'm following the math there.
Yeah.
The second roll didn't hit, and it would have dealt 7 damage if it did. All right, yeah, that math checks out.
Okay, no worries.
It's complicated as fuck, though.
So as I was saying, I have actually pulled on an old Rogue Trader campaign I ran in my home group as a basis for this campaign to utilize. That way I've got a lot of my notes pre-prepared, ready to go. So the setup will be that Pondo's character, the Rogue Trader, will be the unlikely inheritor of the Warrant as the sort of younger heir, but we'll go through in the first session why that's the case. As we're really starting off, my plan is for the first probably 2 to 3 sessions, it'll be a bit of a guided tour of the Rogue Trader setting. And then eventually I'm just going to set the players free in a sandbox with stuff going on around them. You know, the proverbial bad guys will be doing their thing, and it'll be up to the players to determine whether they want to deal with that or just make themselves insanely rich.
Will I be the Lord Captain? Is that correct?
You will be the Lord Captain.
Excellent.
You're looking at the ship roll, is that right?
Yep.
Yep.
And for lineage, do we have to... What do we do with extra XP?
So any XP, if you don't do a lineage, you spend that XP as you would spend XP normally, which means you can use it to increase skills, stats, etc.
Okay. Because not much else seems to be... Not really lineages like speak to me as per se.
Okay, that's fine. So use your XP elsewhere.
A good quality las weapon gains reliable.
Correct. So any ranged weapon that is good quality gains reliable. If it's already got reliable, then there's no extra benefit other than it just looks nice. And I think las guns already have reliable by default.
Lucius pattern hellgun.
Oh, okay, no. Well, that's a Hellgun's different.
I have a Archaeotech las pistol.
Yep.
Sounds fancy. If it's any good.
Is indeed fancy.
5 degrees of success, James. Oh boy, that's all 3 semi-automatic shots right there.
You know what? I'm gonna do a long glorious history.
Okay.
Lineage.
Yep.
All right, and then we'll do a dark secret.
Ooh.
Dun dun dun.
What could it be?
That my father's a potential heretic. Bastard.
I guess we'll find out.
I mean, I think you just kind of told us, but okay.
Putting heretic technology into gas planets. Bastard.
Question for you, James. On the spreadsheet for the talents, am I unable to add them to the thing? Like I can change the XP cost, but I can't actually manually add talents.
I'm not looking at your screen. It's hard for me to say right now. They should have it. So these are talents you've added through your backgrounds or through what?
Well,
mechanism?
the ones in my backgrounds are automatically added, but I have all the XP to spend. Plus the ones I need to add through like Unshakable Faith and that sort of thing from like Child of the Creed. I can't manually add those.
Okay, well they should have been added when you selected those options on the front page from the drop down boxes for the path. But then the ones that you're buying with XP, there should be a checkbox next to the XP number that you can tick to select it.
Yeah. Let's see if it works.
Oh, actually, it's not working right for me. It didn't fill out anything out for skills or talents based on.
Oh, okay. I see it. Never mind. Oh, what do I want to hate? Let's see.
So many choices.
Let's go with heretics because, you know, it's traditional.
So Pondo touched on it before by talking about the Lord Captain thing, but one of the optional rule systems I'm using is called ship rolls. So ship rolls is a system where it recognizes sort of the top 20 or so key roles on a ship, and player characters can take one. By default, the Rogue Trader is obviously the Lord Captain. They're used for a couple of things. First off, they work out the chain of command on ship-based activities, like who reports to whom. But also they give the characters a mechanical benefit to certain ship-based actions. But what I'd like to do with Arthur's permission eventually as well is to take all the ship roles that are not filled by PCs and give the audience a chance to name and describe the NPCs that will fill those important roles on the ship. Everything from, you know, the ship's purser to the chief cook.
We can work something out with Patreon, you know.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's gonna be like fucking Rimworld. Where's it gonna be dying off?
Oh yeah, I mean that's 100% Rimworld right there. All right, yeah. Look, I'll need a whole week to forge out. Guys, I'm coughing because I have a dry throat. Stop talking about the incident in chat. It's Rad wants to be the chief cook. Listen, the cook is always the heretic. We know this. It's always the goddamn cook.
MREs forever. That's it.
I love that there's a lineage. It's my great grandfather built this colony.
Oh no, James, look at that. 6.6 degrees of success.
With Emperor's Wrath again as well on the damage.
Oh my god. Is that each bullet does 19 damage on 6 hits? 7 hits?
What it doesn't do there is you'd actually roll damage for each. That's what the first bullet does.
Well, that sounds
you
like
don't actually
someone...
roll damage for each subsequent hit.
Incredible. I mean, that's a really good opening roll.
So you're blowing it all in the in the non-gameplay. As soon as the gameplay starts, you're gonna be rolling 99s all the time. I can tell you now.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's how that works.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's the Sid effect.
So do I have like 150 XP to spend in total?
After your, let's see, it's normally 500, and you spent a total of 400, I think. Isn't it? 350. 350. You're right. Sorry. Yeah. So you have 150 left. Yeah.
How do you increase?
It's on your specific sheet for your class in the book.
Yeah.
So I put 100 in ballistics because it was cheap, and also I want to have good ballistics.
Yeah.
So
if you're using those exit, go ahead. Sorry.
On the sheet, how do you increase the base skills or base stats?
Okay, so
characteristic advances.
Yeah, you should see. I'm going to bring up. I've not got the sheet open. I'm going to open up so I can talk about the right tabs. 1 second.
XP start 5,000. XP spent 4,500. Yada yada.
Chat, I see you saying make sure to kill all the NPCs. I have been a GM for a long time. I am sure that my fellow players will kill all of the NPCs, especially if they get a name. Like, as soon as they get a name, they're in the grave.
That's how that works.
So it's on the advancement tab, Pondo. You should see the advancement for each of the stats.
Yeah.
You can tick simple, intermediate, trained, expert, etc.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah. Nothing is less than 100 XP.
Yeah, I'm noticing that.
Yeah.
And the more aptitudes you have that match it, what cheaper it is, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
It's the same deal about the skills, 100 XP just to boost it to get it trained.
Yep. Well, you'll see on the skill sheet, it will show you what the what skills you can train and what skills you can or can't train, so that you can only tick ones that have a number next to them. The other ones are not available to you yet until you get to a higher rank.
Gotcha.
I want to talk to you, James, about wounds and fate points.
Yes. So I have opted to go for the maximum on both.
Okay, so I have 7 wounds and 5 fate points.
Should be more than that, shouldn't it? Because
I have 1d5 plus 1 for being an Arch-Militant and plus 1 for sound constitution.
Plus you add your toughness bonus as well to your total wounds. Yeah.
Okay, so I have 7 plus 4 is 9.
Yep.
Nope, that's not even close.
11.
Yep.
So the bonus is your score divided by 10, correct?
Yes.
So.
Well, it's the
10s digit
it's
of your score.
It's a 10 digit, yeah. So it rounds down effectively.
5 fate points.
So D5 plus 2 is 7.
Yep.
I have
plus
10
plus
fate
your
points?
No. If you look at your home world, so Nobleborn is a base fate points of So the way it works is you normally roll a d10, and so Nobleborn the maximum is 4, so you'll have 4 fate points for Nobleborn.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's like rolling D3. It's divided up.
I have 9 insanity. What does that do for me? That sounds bad.
So it's at a scale of 100. So
Still sounds bad.
Yeah, it basically, once you get to 10, we'll start to worry about it then. But
I'm pretty worried about it right now.
So
calculator.
Yeah, so effectively, once every 10 points of insanity or corruption, there starts to be an effect. So you start to gain the risk of having things like phobias or nervous tics. Early on, it's pretty mundane, just roleplay type stuff, but later on, it can actually be quite debilitating type things. Corruption is much worse than insanity. And the thing is, like, these characters, because they are the equivalent of a 5,000 XP Dark Heresy character, they are expected to have some starting insanity and or corruption.
Well, I didn't get either of those. I have 0 corruption, actually.
Yep.
Well, it turns out I suck at everything but killing people, which I guess makes sense given my lifestyle. I'm also good at thinking about the military.
I have 2 psychic techniques I need to choose, and I have no idea what to pick because I don't know what any of these do.
One of them should explode somebody, and the other one should reforge our bodies into non-exploded status.
I was looking at like, oh, Force Bolt. That sounds pretty cool.
I'll just say it, man. You should, if there is a Darth Sidious lightning power, I'll just, get in there. Just do it. Unlimited power!
So I'll have 50 points left over that I can't spend anywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got that too.
Excellent.
So, Sid, just so you know, with the 2, so do you actually gain 2 at the start, or is it 2 you can buy with XP? Do you remember how they work with the Astropaths?
2 at the start.
Yeah, so you start with 2, and you can buy, I think, up to 2 more using XP. So
it's giving me 3. It starts me with astral telepathy.
Yep, you always get that one as an Astropath.
2 drop downs that I get.
Yep. So it's not entirely clear, just so you know, for the future with buying more psychic powers, Sid. So when you look at your career chart,
XP costs 0.
Yeah, that's fine. You get 2 to start off with, but when you're buying them more in the future, when you look at the XP chart for Astropath Transcendent, for example, it will say Psychic Technique times 2, 100 XP in the character tab. What that means is that you still have to pay the XP cost of the Psychic Technique, but it cannot be above the level. So, for example, rank 1, you could buy up to 2 more talents above and beyond what you've already got, but only maximum of 100 XP talents at the time. When you get to rank 2, it'll say 2 times 200. So you could buy 2 more, but they have to be maximum of 200 XP. But if you choose an extra 100, it only costs 100.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I will tell you now that easy mode for Astropath Transcendence, a very popular power is Mind Probe, because it allows you to basically probe minds, which, when you've got one of those NPCs that just won't tell you what you want to know, can be quite effective. GMs hate it, but it's a useful power.
Well, if GMs hate it, then it sounds like something that I would love to take. It sounds like Arthur's any skills that allow you to reroll dice.
Oh my god. Yeah, you know me.
So what is Force Bolt?
It is a direct psychic attack.
All right, I think I've chosen my 2 then. Force Bolt and Mind Probe.
Okay.
I'm just going to choose to have a 12 dodge.
Wow. Wow, Pondo. Okay. I just want to remind you that this character is not as attached to the Lord Captain defense.
Fine.
Okay.
I just have a 38 fellowship and just call it good.
Talk his way out of things. Yep.
Has it ever worked?
Yes, I talk people into doing my stuff for me, so I don't have to do it.
Yeah. It's a bloodthirster. I think I'll charm him. Come on, you got to admit the Rogue Trader is the bard of 40k.
You're not wrong.
I can buy it.
I'm just imagining, Pondo, when what was the game that you ran, Arthur? The when you had a D&D game you were running occasionally when other shows wouldn't run.
Yeah.
And Pondo played the character that was trying to sell the
trust me, that was Sid and Pondo working together. That was 2 hours of my life I'm never gonna get back. Listen, I gotta say, they came up with a really clever way of inventing refrigerators that worked in such a way that they both needed to remain employed for a long period of time. It cost them nothing to use, and they were like, you just need to pay an upkeep of like 10 gold a week. It's a brilliant plan, but not one that condones itself well to a combat campaign.
I'm guessing I have to buy equipment.
So you have some starting equipment. So I'll tell you what you get as an Astropath at the start. In fact, why don't we quickly talk about everyone wants to know what they get gear-wise, so let's talk about that. So start with you, Pondo, because you're first alphabetically in the career path thing. You start with your choice of either a best craftsmanship las pistol, or a good craftsmanship hand cannon, or a common craftsmanship plasma pistol.
Interesting.
You want to think on that one while I tell you what else you get?
So hand cannon is just like an auto gun, essentially. Just
it's literally it's Magnum. It's literally like a 44 Magnum.
I'll go with that.
Okay, so good quality hand cannon. Your choice of a best craftsmanship mono sword or common craftsmanship power sword.
What's the difference between a mono sword and a power sword?
Power sword's a power weapon. Take the power sword, honestly. Because
take the power sword.
Well, the thing about power weapons too, if it's the same thing for Rogue Traders as Dark Heresy, if they try and parry with a non-power weapon, there's a chance you can destroy their weapon with your weapon.
I did that before.
Yeah. So I would always go with a power weapon over a non-power weapon.
All right. You also get a micro bead, a void suit, a set of fine clothing, a Xeno pelt cloak, and then your choice of best craftsmanship Enforcer Light Carapace or Stormtrooper Carapace.
Just imagining his suit from Wrath and Glory, and it's just like.
So what's the difference between those two? I'm trying to find where the difference is made or where the stuff is back in.
So there should be a War Gear chapter in the book.
I don't think I have the book.
Okay, we'll have to sort you out.
Yeah, which book do you need?
Road
The
Trader.
answer is page 118 in the book.
Excellent. I need to find the book.
If you need it, I've got it.
Yeah, Atomic is the one who I got the book from.
Yeah, it should be updated. I don't know why it removed them in the first place.
Right, just so you know, we can't hear any of this music, so if it suddenly gets too loud, let me know. I just want to provide some background ambience for you all.
Alright, Astropath Transcendent. Starting gear is your choice of a best craftsmanship las pistol or a best craftsmanship stub automatic. Why are there recipes in chat? Have I missed something?
They are deciding what you would like to drink your blood with.
Okay.
They're doing some weird Bloody Marys that involve actual human blood.
What are they, Blood Angels?
Don't understand chat ever, and now is the weirdest time.
Look, the time your chat makes the most sense is when you're doing RimWorld, where it's actually like conducive.
Sometimes people show up and are like, Volcanic Winter, that doesn't sound bad, right?
Atomic, why did you buy Psychopath, your character? You madman.
Alright, back to Astropath. After the gun, you get your choice of a best craftsmanship mono sword or a common craftsmanship shock staff. You also get flak armor, a charm, a void suit, micro bead, and a psi focus. Let me quickly talk to you about charms, because there's a way that I use charms. One second, I've just got someone's knocking my door.
It was Las Pistol, or what was the other one? For me?
Sorry about that. There's this thing here. So charms. Charms are an item in these 40k RPGs that are just described as some sort of lucky item, you know, like your lucky rabbit's foot, that sort of thing. The way I use charms in the game is if it comes to a point where I need to decide upon a random character to cop shit, I will usually randomize the characters that don't have charms over the characters that do have charms. So keep that in mind.
Well, I got 0 charms. That's not so good.
James, real quick, it was a last pistol, and what was the other option?
Either a las pistol or a stub automatic. Best quality in either case.
Get you a link in a second, Pound. I'm trying to figure out where it was.
Oh, stub auto. That's what we're going with.
There it is.
Sorry, so we had so you had the gun, then you had your choice of the best craftsmanship mono sword or the common craftsmanship shock staff, Sid?
Mono sword.
Then you get flak armor. Flak armor, a charm, void suit, micro bead, psi focus. Where are you up to, Pondo?
Getting there.
Yeah.
I'm slowly figuring out how this sheet works.
I see no mono sword in.
So with that sheet, you've got to add a sword, and then if you scroll down further, you'll find modifications, and there'll be a mono modification. You add one of those, then when you go to the weapons tab, you can add the sword, then apply the modification to it.
That's owned.
Yep, you gotta go through shop, which I just figured out.
Yeah.
I was like an idiot trying to figure out. And the equipment's like, why is it not there?
Why ain't not work?
What was the first? What was the page I need to look at for equipment?
118.
118.
That'll start with ranged weapons, but if you keep scrolling down, you'll hit melee weapons and everything else.
All right, everyone should have a sheet now in Roll20. We can utilize to drill things in if they need to.
Bolt gun.
Is profit factor not a thing that I have personally?
Everybody has the same profit factor, so once we know what the final profit factor for the group is, that's the same score for everybody.
But I'm like, I think I'm totally done.
I think a couple of you had backgrounds that reduced profit factor, so I think guys might be down to about sort of the high 30s.
That's not that. Listen, that's not me. Y'all fucked up. You fucked up bad.
Well, maybe I think Noble's actually.
I don't see where to add the mono onto the sword.
You just put mono in front of the sword, and it'll change. You'll have to manually change the qualities, like removing primitive. So I'm gonna roll mine in chat, Sid, so you can see what mine ends up looking like. I just put good mono sword +5 because it's a good quality. Should have balance because it's a sword, and then if it's mono, it removes primitive. Get +2 penetration.
Well, Sid's is actually best quality as well, so he gets +10 to hit with it.
Well, I guess it's nice having a really nice sword when you're a psyker.
So it's
Where's
plus
the
10
list that says
penetration.
Is it a Psychona Mercy Knife or something?
What's the list that says I can pick what equipment I get? Or the
So for the Rogue Trader list, it is on page
41.
it's probably looking right over it.
Yeah, or 42 actually. So should be starting skills, talents, and gear.
Yeah, 42 in the PDF, 41 on the actual book page itself.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So best craft or good. So
How many ship points did we end up with, James?
52.
Okay, I'm gonna start looking into ship crafting.
you know what?
So let me.
Like idea.
I'm going to send you a link, Arthur, because there's a lot of extra ships in other books that they're all. Someone's done a nice catalog of in one place.
You know, splat books really. If there's one thing splat books are good for, it's giving you overpowered shit.
It says I don't have proficiency for the sword.
It might have been from Universal, so it should be fine with that. Are you doing this in Roll20 or in the Excel sheet?
In the Excel sheet.
I mean, just use the Excel sheet as a basis. We can fix it up later on. So I've just done a link in Discord, Arthur, that includes all of the ships and components.
Yep. Which one is it under?
Not the Trove. I put a new link just below that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
To a
I was
PDF.
confused. Oh.
Yep. Should I suggest, I know it's still 10 minutes to go, but do you want to take the break now? And then when we come back, we'll see where we're at with the characters and move on to the ship.
Is everybody at a point where they can stop, or is anybody like stuck in a groove and
Needs to ask questions.
I could stop.
No, I don't have any questions. Yeah, I'm just looking through stuff, but should be fine.
Good?
Yeah, I'm just going to be updating the Roll20 character sheet.
Very well. We'll return in 8 minutes for the second half, friends. Stick around. Enjoy the break music. I guess I can switch it off with this weird ambient noise.